Hello everyone, welcome back to our channel. This is Guntur Medical College, Department of Anatomy. In this dissection video, we will see the medial surface of the cerebral hemisphere. In this, we will see the sulci and gyri of the medial surface of the cerebral hemisphere and also the parts of the corpus callosum and the septum pellucidum. So, we will start first with the sulci and gyri of the cerebral hemisphere. Medial surface. So in this medial surface, before you learn the medial surface, you have to know what are the surfaces of the cerebral hemisphere and what are the poles of the cerebral hemisphere. So what you are seeing, this is the superolateral surface and this is the supromedial border and this is the infromedial border and this is the infrolateral border, and this surface is the medial surface between supromedial border and infromedial border, and this is the superolateral surface between supromedial border and infrolateral border, and this is the inferior surface between infromedial border and this is the infrolateral border. So these are the three surfaces. We have to know the three poles also. So this is the frontal pole, this is the temporal pole, and this is the occipital pole. So this is the introduction to the cerebral surfaces, borders and the poles. So in this, mainly in this dissection video, as we have introduced, we will start with the sulci and gyri of the cerebral hemisphere medial surface. So as soon as you see the medial surface, you have to see one important part. So this commissural fiber, this is the largest commissural fiber, that is the corpus callosum. So immediately above the corpus callosum, or you saying this is the callosal sulcus. So this is the callosal sulcus immediately above the corpus callosum. Then above this you have another sulcus, or you saying this is the next sulcus. So that is the this one, cingulate sulcus. So in between the callosal sulcus and between the cingulate sulcus, this gyri, what you are seeing is the cingulate gyrus. So this is the cingulate gyrus in between this callosal sulcus and the cingulate sulcus. And what is this important artery running in this just above the corpus callosum is the anterior cerebral artery. Now we will see outside the cingulate sulcus, we have to know this is the frontal pole and this is the occipital pole and this is the frontal pole. So outside the cingulate sulcus, cingulate gyrus, we have the medial frontal gyrus in the front, and this is the central sulcus. So surrounding the central sulcus, we have the paracentral lobule. Then we have to know this is the calcarine sulcus cutting the occipital pole. In just 5 centimeters in front of the occipital pole, this is the parieto-occipital sulcus. So between this cingulate sulcus, I will remove this arachnoid matter. So if you see, this is the cingulate sulcus ending. Between this cingulate sulcus and this parieto-occipital sulcus, this part is called as the precuneus. And in between this calcarine sulcus and this parieto-occipital sulcus, this part will be called as cuneus, as it is triangular in shape. So this is cuneus, this is precuneus, this is paracentral lobule, this is medial frontal gyrus. Just near the splenium of the corpus callosum, this part will be called as isthmus. So we have now completed the sulci and gyri on the medial surface. Students have to remember 6 gyri: cingulate gyrus, medial frontal gyrus, paracentral lobule, precuneus, cuneus and isthmus. So now we have completed. Then we will see the parts of the corpus callosum also in this video. Or you saying this is the corpus callosum. First we have to identify this is anterior end and this is the posterior end. If you see, posterior end will be slightly broader. So this is splenium, this is central part of the corpus callosum, and this is the genu or the anterior part, and this bent part will be called as this part will be called as the rostrum. So 4 parts from front to behind: rostrum, genu, central part and splenium. These are the 4 parts of the corpus callosum. So what are you saying, this part is this is the fornix. In between the fornix and the corpus callosum, we have this septum, partly disturbed. So this is the septum pellucidum, which is made of both grey matter and white matter. and this is made of double layers, but in between these two layers there is no CSF, it contains the tissue fluid. So if you remove this septum pellucidum, you are going to see this central part of the lateral ventricle, or you saying this is the central part of the lateral ventricle. In this central part you can appreciate here is this caudate nucleus, or you saying this is the caudate nucleus. This bulge part of this will be called, this is the body of caudate nucleus, and this is the head of the caudate nucleus in the floor of the central part of the lateral ventricle. In the lateral ventricle boundaries and parts we will see in the next video. We will mainly see the features in the medial surface and we will complete this. So next to this caudate nucleus, what you are seeing is this part is the upper surface of the thalamus, which forms the floor of the central part of the lateral ventricle. So when you see, now again we will come to the medial surface. So this is septum pellucidum and this is the fornix. Below the fornix we are having the thalamus and the hypothalamus. So students have to understand this forms the lateral wall of the third ventricle. So we can't see the third ventricle in the medial surface. When you cut through this medial surface, the third ventricle, we are cutting through the third ventricle. So you can't see the third ventricle intact at any time. Only you can see the lateral wall of the third ventricle. So this is the thalamus and the hypothalamus. Next to that, are you seeing? So this part will be called as the midbrain, superior colliculi, inferior colliculi. So this is, are you seeing, both colliculi? So they will be the superior colliculi and the inferior colliculi. In the middle of this midbrain we will have the cerebral aqueduct. Then this part will be the pons, ventral part of the pons, and this part is this medulla oblongata. So that is how this medial surface of the cerebrum, if you are given in the practical exams, mainly you have to concentrate on the sulci and gyri of the cerebral hemisphere on the medial surface. If you are asked, you can add the note on the corpus callosum, septum pellucidum, fornix, caudate nucleus, thalamus and hypothalamus, midbrain, pons and middle. But you mainly the question may be the sulci and gyri on the medial surface of the cerebral hemisphere. I hope you should have understood this medial surface. With the next dissection video, we will see in the next. Thank you.